Yo, sup y'all? So today we're playing Smuggler's Run, the game where you smuggle things and other stuff. I don't know, this is my first time playing this game. This won't be a series like the itsMidnight Club series is, which, if you like, I have the playlist here in the description. This will be a one-off, where I'll basically just talk about the game as I go through it. There's a few different game modes, but I'll get into them in a bit. And check out Color Shed's take on this game here, also in the description. In the meantime, sit back, relax, and enjoy the music as we dive into this game. So, this game came out on the same day as Midnight Club Street Racing, as a PS2 launch title on October 26, 2000. If you thought Midnight Club was an open world game, you haven't seen this game yet. Lots of hills, slopes, bumps, and even different terrain take up the two maps. One is on the northern United States border, the forest and snow, and the desert is on the southern border. The overall objective here is to collect contraband and drop it off in specific spots, often with the cops hell-bent on eating you alive because they were forced to skip breakfast to start their early morning shift without a break. There's some seriously high stakes here, and as you progress through the game, you realize that other gangs aren't your main antagonists, or whatever your helper's talking about. No, the main antagonist is clearly the police. So, don't get caught or someone's gonna be losing a whole lot of money other than you. In this game, you have 3 different modes to choose from. You got Smuggler's Mission, the career mode of the game, and you have Turf War and Joyriding, the former giving you 3 different competitive modes to play in, and the latter being a free roam. These 2 are basically the arcade mode of this game. Turf War has Crooks and Smuggler, a free-for-all where you and 7 other crooks are competing in what's basically capture the flag. There's Loot Grab, where you and your team have to fight for a stash of goods and bring back 18 of them before the other team does. And there's Checkpoint Races, an opportunity for hookmen to practice their driving before they go back to the cities to do their racing. In these 2 modes, you get to choose the full list of vehicles that you want to explore the map in. Maybe get a head start in finding some hidden paths and get more familiar with the map. The forest is an evening setting in the middle of spring, and there's fresh water along the map and plenty of greenery and trees for you to avoid. The main roads are useful when you need to get to a certain point, but you're not confined to them by any means. Just be careful, as it's pretty easy to roll your car over and get stuck in places if you don't know your way around the map. The desert is even more open, with sand taking over the landscape and each path divided by little mountains. The map in this sense feels a bit smaller. I don't know if it actually is or not, but once you get familiar with it, you'll get a better time navigating yourself around and not trying to climb up mountains that leaves your car going backwards instead of forwards just to get to the other side. This isn't counting the boundaries of the map, of course. The snow is the forest, but in the winter, and the water's frozen solid so you can actually drive on it. However, it's really slippery, so just keep that in mind when you start doing missions. The trees have snow on them as well as the different houses and buildings, and it's earlier in the day, so it definitely feels brighter and feels different enough to the forest that it just works. I can't really say which map is my favorite, because I like all of them. But what about you? Do you like these maps? Or do you already miss the tall buildings, heavy traffic, and bright lights of the city life? In the Smuggler missions, you're part of the Forgotten, a group of high-profile smugglers who arrange several deals and missions for you to get involved with. It boils down to you doing the following: picking up and dropping off contraband with cops reminding you of which laws you may or may not be violating.
Bring your vehicle to a halt. You are violating immigration protocol number 751039.
Are you
Teaming up with another gang and working together to pick up and deliver packages or stealing them from another gang to prevent them from doing the same. And there's racing, something a taxi driver wouldn't be able to handle in this environment. You'll occasionally have to take an item from someone who's running away, then drop it off somewhere for reasons, I guess.
Hey, hot stuff, you are one of the forgotten few. I'll be controlling everything you do, helping you and giving you the benefit of my experience. Listen to me. I won't lie to you, I promise. Let's see what you can do. Just follow the navigation arrow around our little playpen and fast.
That's Radio Girl, our guide who tells us what we're actually doing, and via our instructions given to us by who I think is our boss named Gordon. She's the only one we'll be listening to throughout the smuggler missions. She gives us different names of different people and things, like a rival gang, the O'Brady's, another guy named Hernandez. But she talks so quickly that it almost seems like she's just telling us these things, so we have little time to think and more time just doing our job.
Seems like the Border Patrol are none too pleased with us forgotten few. Gordon's buddy was driving some goodies across the border, and Border Patrol got the license plates off his van, so he needs to move to other vehicles. Go do some moving.
You earn money from each job depending on how well you do, and when you're carrying the contraband, how well you take care of it. As you lose money each time you hit a bump or crash too hard, and especially when the cops decide to run you off the road and pin you against the wall and talk dirty to you while they let out all of their frustrations at you, you damn smuggler. The missions don't start off too difficult. In fact, the first few are pretty easy, and for the forest, the buggy seems like a good choice to go, though you really can't go wrong with the SUV. The former is faster and more agile and built for the bumpier aspects of the map, which is everywhere not on the main roads, and the latter is more durable to take punishment from the police much better. I didn't have to restart too many times during the first 13 or so missions, so it's off to a pretty fun start. As you go through the game, you get better with the handling, and not just from learning the handling physics, as it's not too far off from Midnight Club 1, but also how to take different bumps, where to take your vehicle that reduces the chances of you landing on your side and forcing you to roll over and be at the mercy of the ultraviolent police. But at some point, we did just about everything we needed to do, we've collected a whole bunch of heat, and now we're needed at the desert.
All you're going to do is pick up the stuff and drop it off. Easy, baby, real easy.
Now we have access to the trophy truck and the rally car. I like using the trophy truck for the regular missions and the rally car for the team missions, because having a fast car when you're trying to keep the other team from stealing you or your teammates' contraband is always useful. It really sucks that whenever your teammates have the goods, half of the time they just let the opposite team snatch it right off of them and the opposing team scores. Having good teammates is probably above our budget anyway, despite all the money we get doing these jobs. Something definitely seems off here, but maybe I'm just tripping, I don't know. The last desert mission is kinda tough actually. You're not given a whole bunch of time, and at this point, the cops are really starting to get annoying. Anytime I don't see them on the minimap is a breath of fresh air, and I love how there's rarely any spots that's left untouched due to the variety of spots each checkpoints are. I wouldn't have known there was a tunnel and a semi-secret area near the pyramid had the mission not forced me to go there. Nice. Oh, and the one race we needed to do is a bitch. The cops at this point are just being nosy as hell. There's hardly any streets around here, only like 3 damn villages. We ain't carrying no damn goods, yet you still want to interfere with our business. Do the police not make enough money just minding their business and letting us have our own races? Hell, in New York and London, those cops hardly ever bother us, and even when they do, they leave us alone the moment we get too far away. But no, it's only because we're near a damn border that y'all want to get all huffy and puffy with your basic ass threats. Okay, I was just about done with the desert anyway, but ironically, I love that map. I love all the maps, and it's pretty impressive how Angel Studios made an off-road game look better than their city racing counterpart. Yes, I said it, and I will say this proudly. Smuggler's Run looks better than Midnight Club Street Racing, and I would argue that Smuggler's Run even has a better soundtrack overall. Does this make me a fan of Smuggler's Run? Well, let's go back to the snow for our next mission and... You can't be fucking serious. So we get to unlock the massive truck and the military vehicle, but they don't really have a use here. Sure, the MV is probably a great vehicle to use, but for these missions?
No tip, no extra. Next delivery.
Fuck that. I see the cops using that vehicle, and somehow theirs are faster. So I could be driving cleanly, only to get pushed from behind or sideswiped, losing control of my vehicle, and 10 seconds later, I take too much damage and promptly get arrested. I've lost several good runs of these snow missions because the cops were just too overbearing, and maybe it's just me being bad at this game, but if you're going to give me a damn timer, I'm going to prioritize faster lines and paths, but all of that can go completely to waste the moment the police catches up to me, pushes me off course, and the other police officers feast on my car when it's at its most vulnerable. I'm actually stuck on the 30th mission in moral minority, and I've tried every single vehicle and I still can't win. The best I was able to do was get to the last item with the SUV, but at this point, I was already too frustrated to continue. Just 5 more wins and I beat the game. It was so easy at first.
Nothing to worry about, nothing to stress about. Just pick it up and drop it off. Sounds easy? We'll see.
But that just proves how steady the difficulty curve of this game is. It never truly spikes, and the team missions are actually the easiest to do because you're not doing it alone, for the most part. And it proves to be a good challenge until you reach that point where it's too much of a challenge and you're just drowning in your own blood pressure. So, setting the controller down and realizing that the recording of the snow missions got corrupted, let's try this again and see if I get better luck later on.
All you're going to do is pick up the stuff and drop it off. Easy, baby. Real easy.
Alright, here we go again. Using the SUV, and I did it on my first try. Well then. And I did it again immediately after. At this point, I'm just re-recording failed attempts, and there we go. Now let's move on. So these last few missions aren't as bad, and the SUV is the best vehicle to use going forward.
I am a CIA agent. I need to speak with you immediately.
Though you could probably use something faster in the race right after Immoral Minority. Just need to complete these last few and we're done. Huh? The fuck? Why would he... So, let me get this straight. You let some friend of Gordon named Hernandez in. Didn't even do a background check. Clearly you had no idea who he was. And you let him have me deliver some highly illegal shit that gave me the most struggles out of this whole thing? And now, all of a sudden, you find out he's been undercover this whole fucking time? Are you fucking kidding me? These damn cops were manageable to deal with, and all of a sudden, as soon as he came into the picture, they became 10 times worse to deal with. And now, you want me to hide all of our shit?
Are you a crash test dummy, big boy, or just a bad driver?
What the fuck have you done, radio girl? You talking all this shit about all you gotta do is pick it up and drive. Easy. No, bullshit! You act like this is just another job when you don't even know half of what I have to go through just to not get killed doing all of this smuggling shit for you and our worthless ass boss Gordon. But you know what? You know what? I'll do this one last job. And as soon as it's done, we're done. Get the fuck out of my face.
Baby, you're on your own, playing by yourself.
Nah, screw that. I'm going rogue. All that money really ain't worth the struggle, man. And that's the Struggler's Run. This game is actually pretty fun, but man, did this game kick my ass. It's been a while since I've played a game that gave me legitimate problems moving forward, but man, was it a big sigh of relief when I finally beat it. This game really makes you feel the struggle of smuggling in illegal goods and facing the consequences. Seriously, those cops are not only strong by numbers, but also fast. They'll make you think twice before you start doing some highly illegal stuff along the borders. And at the end of the day, we're all just doing our jobs, just our jobs happen to clash against each other. And that's what makes doing races and team missions fun too. We may or may not be friends outside of the business, but when we're on the clock, friendship goes right out the window, Gordon. And that's what this game's truly about. When there's nothing that needs to be transported, you're free. You get to breathe in the fresh air and do whatever you want, and no one can stop you because it's during your time. But once you agree to do something, you gotta commit. Sometimes you gotta be a team player. Sometimes you gotta take care of shit on your own because no one else will pick up the slack. And sometimes you gotta think for yourself and not simply follow orders blindly, because it may benefit you in the end, but it may bite you in the ass, and that bite won't let go until you see past it. You see where the cops spawn. You see how they act, the things they're saying.
Stop your car now.
You see how the other smugglers drive. You can plan around all of that. Sure, you may still get burned and it'll take some practice to get the hang of it, but eventually, you'll persevere and eventually become the best version of yourself while everyone else tries to behave like each other. And that's why you, as the player, is able to stand out from all of these criminal gangs and have the cops use all of their resources just to stop you. Just don't let them tap you when your engine stalls. This is Smuggler's Run, and it's your boy Dare, drifting off into the desert.